What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel again. I want you to listen and watch this video and a nice speech from the Prime Minister of Jamaican, Mia Montley, is exposing the things that the Jamaican leaders are doing and warning the all Caribbean leaders on things that are doing in the parliament. Watch this video until the end and I'll be back with more comments.
Any other major challenges. That's why I ask all the time, who sees us and who hears us? We continue to be confronted by problems of blacklisting, which pale into insignificance when compared to climate change, but which destroy our financial sector. The illicit flow of weapons, such that the ease with which people can go into public spaces and shoot and kill others is now regarded as just another item on the news because we promote profit in the manufacture and trade of guns and weapons, of non-communicable diseases that strike down our people in the most insidious of ways because we allow diets that promote the prosperity of a few multinational corporations to become the norm of the day with the food that we eat and the lives that we live. And in the case within our own community, Belize and Guyana continue to face challenges to their territorial integrity. I suppose people feel that because we have talked so long about Belize and Guyana and Cuba, that we can continue to talk about climate change and these other things, and that it is okay for it to be another tick on a UN General Assembly speech. These are all threats to our stability, to the people's stability in our lands. But you know, since last we met, there are other instances and circumstances, not of our making, that may yet destabilize us. And we say it over and over, but we ask who is listening. And you know, we don't come with tales of war only. The Caribbean has produced excellence. It really has. Nobel laureates, sportsmen who have excelled and are the best in the world of their type, artists, the best in the world of their type, leaders who have inspired previous generations and current generations. We don't come here as a proud people asking for handouts. We don't want and will not be mendicant. What we want, no, what we need is fiscal and policy space. Fiscal and policy space to achieve sustainable development, to be nimble, to adapt, and to innovate in ways that allow us to be true and faithful to the task of bringing prosperity to our people, or as in the theme of this General Assembly, to eradicate poverty, to educate our people, to include all such that there's not some outside and some inside. We want an international order equally that recognizes that there must be different policy prescriptions to suit the circumstances that we all have. And we can still be friends, small and large, north and south, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, all different races, all genders. An equitable and just international order that is truly built on the principles of justice and fairness for all and not just for some. A United Nations that recognizes that as 74 years old, we must be able to have difficult conversations as mature people and solve them. Many in the developing world were persuaded or required to abandon policies that were designed for the majority of our population to be transformed. And those policies were fashioned to adopt a consensus that was settled in Washington, D.C. and named thereafter. And that ultimately, regrettably, was about the consolidation of wealth in the hands of a very few. That's why we have seen the growing inequality that we have seen in the world over the last few decades. That is why too many people over the world have become cynical about governments and about the benefits that they can bring to them. The fueling of the greed of a few threatens to undermine what little gains we have made since independence. And we judge ourselves harshly because independence is a recent phenomenon for us. Others who have taken 150 years to get where they have gotten are still stumbling and falling. And you want to judge those who have had less than 50 or 60 years to operate in a world that has not been made in their image and that does not reflect their interests. This is the fate, my friends, of simply too many. And Mr. President, despite our small sizes, the 14 countries of the Caribbean community have been able to play leadership roles of international import. I can't stand here today without talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that has become the smallest nation of the world ever to be elected to the Security Council to sit on it. We are proud of them. In addition, and I want to speak to this, because when CARICOM was confronted with the unfolding situation in Venezuela, I accompanied the then chairman of CARICOM, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, to meet in this building with the UN Secretary General in January of this year. And we met with many delegations, and some said we were wasting our time, and some said the time for talk was already over. And we said then, as we say almost 9 months later, the time for dialogue, the time for talk, my friends, can never be over in a world that wants peace and prosperity. We don't take sides, but what we know is that you cannot propel war over dialogue. The people of Venezuela must be allowed to decide their own future in accordance with the principles of the United Nations Charter. Principles of non-intervention, non-interference, prohibition of the threat or use of force, respect for the rule of law, human rights, and democracy. It is regrettable that other multilateral organizations have not followed their own charters. And that is what makes the actions of our Secretary General of the UN more laudable, for refusing to breach his own charter and take actions even though member states have hurled into the recognition of those unelected. Our Caribbean Sea must remain a zone of peace, and for that we shall fight. Mr. President, I speak plainly and without fear, because from independence, Barbados' foreign policy has been premised on the simple principle of friends of all, satellites of none. Barbados, therefore, has always remained and will remain proud to have Cuba as a treasured friend.
We don't need to look any further than the menacing vessels, military vessels from the United States across the Caribbean Sea, including what is reputed to be the world's largest warship. These are we will continue, and I give you this assurance, to be an example of good governance in the Caribbean region. And this is so important. We will continue to champion democracy, human rights, and the rule of law internationally, Kerry, because we have seen how fragile countries can be and how easy it is to dissipate. Our voices in international fora will always stand on principle, whether it is speaking up for the sovereignty of small nations or calling for countries like Cuba to be protected and to be brought back into the international community. by removing embargoes or calling out global inequities. If ever we needed a reminder of how unstable and how dangerous this world that we live in is, and how vulnerable our Caribbean region is, it is now with us, facing a multiplicity of threats. We don't need to look any further than the menacing vessels, military vessels from the United States across the Caribbean Sea, including what is reputed to be the world's largest warship. These are not times of pirates anymore. This is 2025, and we have cause to be duly concerned. Because even as that is happening, one of the most dangerous hurricanes for the 2025 Atlantic season is bearing down on our brothers and sisters in the Northern Caribbean. Melissa, we are facing, my friends, an extremely dangerous and untenable situation in Southern Caribbean. And as a people with a tragic history of being subjected to centuries of big power, orchestrated genocide, terrorism, and warfare, and as a small state, we have invested tremendous time and energy and effort in establishing and maintaining our region as a zone of peace. Peace is critical to all that we do in this region. And now that peace is being threatened, we have to speak up. I want to thank the former prime ministers of the community, the very strong statement issued by them for the fundamental principle that was agreed upon on the formation of the Caribbean community by the Honorable Dr. Eric Williams. I want to thank them because without their statement, we are possibly going to have others think that those who now lead governments are speaking in vain without reflecting on the fact that this has been a core principle of the Caribbean community from its very inception. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Prime Ministers. I believe that the time has come for us, therefore, to be able to ensure that we do not accept that any entity has the right to engage in extrajudicial killings of persons that they suspect of being involved in criminal activities. As I said, we stand for the rule of law. And we believe that if there is other intelligence available that would cause you to take action that is an immediate threat to you as a nation, then you have a duty to share it with us. But on the face of it, conflating law enforcement with military action is a dangerous step, as Kerry Simmons advocated a few weeks ago. We equally do not accept that any nation in our region or the Greater Caribbean should be the subject of an imposition upon them of any unilateral expression of force and violence by any third party or nation. If there are conflicts and disputes that are in need of resolution, then the place that they need to be taken for such resolution is the United Nations organization. And the methodology that must be deployed for the resolution is one of negotiation and peaceful actions taken in order to ensure that we can settle disputes. Barbados has always been that place, and that is why we were the location for the opposition and government in Venezuela to sign the pact here a few years ago, because we are friends of all and satellites of none. And I say so comforted that this has been the position of every single government of the country since independence. The violent actions that this buildup has led to needs to be the subject of dialogue. And I have said before, almost every war in the world in history has been ended by dialogue. So let us have dialogue to stop the war rather than to prevent the war from starting, rather than to stop it when it has started. And as far as the Northern Caribbean crisis is, on behalf of all of us, I extend our prayers to those who are fearing the worst with Hurricane Melissa. To the people of Jamaica, I have already reached out to Prime Minister Holness. We've already reached out to the President of the Presidential Council in Haiti, Monsieur Laurent Sancerre. To the people of the wider region that is likely to be affected in the Cayman Islands, in the Turks and Caicos, in the Dominican Republic, and of course, my sister in Cuba, who cannot take another hit like the people of Haiti or Jamaica. I ask you to join tomorrow as we go to our churches to ensure that we offer the prayers up for our brothers and sisters, because I can tell you, I was in Jamaica when Hurricane Gilbert hit, and it was a life-altering scenario for me. In order to make it light work, you know I've said it over and over. Demonstrate by your deeds, by how you treat your fellow man and woman, by the effort you put into work and all of these things. Let us do this and rekindle the spirit of community that saw us come through COVID successfully when we pulled together as one and when neighbors took care of each other as they did in before. I often reflect on the words of our national pledge. I pledge allegiance, let me hear you, to my country Barbados and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation wherever I go. By my living, by your living, let us do credit to our nation. And whether we are in a foreign land or whether we are here, let our character show and shine. Let people say, that is a proud Bajan. That means zero tolerance for corruption. We didn't tolerate it and we will not do it. It means standing up against powers that want to undermine and discriminate or provide injustice. Everybody must be treated fairly, even if it means sometimes I got to brace up some of ours to do so. Our music, our people, our stories, our cuisine, we are Bajan, and who else can defend it but us? And as we remember the trials and triumphs of our foreparents, let us draw strength from them. They had it harder than anything any of us have ever had to face. We have had abundance, times of plenty compared to them. And we need to make sure that we can stand on their shoulders, but we can build. Because without that, the story of Barbados' growth will come to an end at this point in time.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I believe that you have seen the good speech that are being given by the Mia Monthly. And he's talking about the way leaders are doing things that are not good. And for real, that's not good. You as a leader, you need to support your people. You need to make them to feel at home. You need to make them see the reason why they should have you as a leader. The reason why you should be there to stand there for them and support them. Being there is not just by you controlling the country and just giving orders, but it's also for you to make sure that your people are okay, making sure the security of your people are okay, and always be there for your people, because without those people you cannot be in the position that you are. And that's why I support Mia Monthly so much, because he's speaking the speech that is being given is a very nice one for everyone. Is considering everyone, and you need you as a leader, you need to consider all the members, all your people, all the country that you are. As long as you're a leader, you need to make sure that your people are not suffering, your people are not going through a lot that they cannot be able to come out of it. Like, for example, you can open for them business, you can give them business ideas and give them the opportunity to work. As I said, like, the leaders, you need to do things that are good for your people. Okay, like now you can see the police are very seriously looking after the leaders while not supporting the people who elected those leaders to be in their positions. So you see people are suffering, not having that chance to do their things, at knowing that we have the security around us, everybody around us support us, but that support is not there. So you see, like, Mia Montley has really talked about the way all the leaders should do. They should not make others to benefit while others are not benefiting. They need to balance. They need to make sure that all the people that gave them the opportunity to sit in their positions are not having rough time, but having good time. Like, you can see, like, other country coming to Jamaica, they are opening their business. They can stay there for almost even 1 year without paying taxes. But when the Jamaican goes to other country, they do their business, you see they are being taxed. They're being asked for taxation every now and then, and that's not good. We need to be equal. You need to do things that are good, and all members are benefiting. Not like you're being treated well in another country. When you go to another country, you're being mistreated. That is not good. We need to have that equality. Don't allow your people to suffer and yet you're a leader. Make sure you stand there for your people. Make sure that your people are not crying because you are not supporting them. You are not giving them the opportunity to open their own businesses and running their businesses in a good way. You can see, like, somebody has started a small business. He want profit from that business, but you don't give him or her the humble time to work on that business so that he can get the profit that he deserves. You're pushing her, you are pushing him, so that chance of making the profit is minimal, and that's not the good thing to do as a leader. You need to work smart, make sure that your people are working in a good environment, they're having everything that they need. Please, I'm waiting for your comment at the comment section, and I'll be reading at the next video that I'll be making. Please don't forget to share, like, and view my YouTube channel. Please make sure that you put your thumb up, and I'll really appreciate it. See you in the next video. Bye bye.